Sometimes when we're in a chaotic experience, we can only meet the level of ourselves that we have grown to.
He just said to me, "Is Dad coming home?" And I said, "I don't know." I'm like, "Mate, I don't know. I can't answer that."
We can't love others until we fully love ourselves. Like, it gives us with that ability to find that compassion for ourselves, and then we have that as a gift we can give to others. I remember like a 50-year-old man just humbled by Reiki, and he was just like, I've never felt loved like that before. And he had the whole group of us women all bawling our eyes out. Do you know what I love about Reiki is you can still experience it even if you're skeptical. Welcome to season 2 of Connecting to Spirit. I'm your host, Lisa Brandis, and I'm so excited to be back with a fresh new season where we'll be diving even deeper into the practices, tools, and insights that help you strengthen your intuition and access divine guidance. This season, you can expect a powerful blend of channeled teachings from my own spirit team, as well as heartfelt interviews with leaders in intuition, healing, and spiritual growth, and real transformative stories from people around the world who've experienced life-changing breakthroughs. This isn't just a podcast, it's a transformational audio journey created to help you build trust in your inner wisdom, gain clarity, and awaken your spiritual gifts, one practical step at a time. And what better way to begin than with the deeply inspiring story of one of my Reiki Master students, Sarah Doig. Sarah followed the quiet whispers of her intuition and discovered Intuitive Reiki, a path that led her home to herself. In this conversation, she opens up about a healing journey, what it truly means to feel loved, and how Reiki transformed not only her own life, but the lives of her family, including the miraculous healing of her husband from a near-death experience. Sarah also shares how the Reiki principles became a sacred foundation for living with deep self-respect, love, and spiritual alignment. This episode is filled with hope, heart, and a reminder of what's possible when we listen to the wisdom within. Let's dive in. Welcome, Sarah. I'm so honoured to have you here as my first guest in season 2 of Connecting to Spirit.
Thank you so much for having me here, Lisa. It's such a privilege to be sitting here with you today.
I know there's big energy in the room.
I just want to meet this Sarah Doig that's on this paper.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, she sounds amazing.
That's because she is.
Oh, thank you.
You are a gift to the world and to all the people that you serve. Let's start right at the beginning, Sarah. Can you take us back to a moment when your intuition first nudged you towards learning Reiki?
I guess my intuition has always been a part of me, but It was really amplified at a time when I was a young mum. I had 2 young children at the time, 5 and 3 to be precise. And I just remember I was going through all of these emotions that were surfacing, and I just did not know what to do with them. And there was this mum who was desperate to find a connection with her children, but there was also this spiritual self that was coming in. And at that time, I was what I look back now and think it was quite chaotic. It was trying to understand what's more important. And it was like you had spirit leading one way, and then you had the mum that was she was sitting with all of these big emotions that she couldn't process. So at the time, I just remember feeling such a yearning to just be present and hang on.
I can hear the emotion coming
out.
I
know.
It's
I know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What is it? What is that? What's that emotion you're feeling, Sarah?
The emotion I'm feeling is just what it means to be a mum. And I do get so emotional about it because it's probably the purpose of why I'm here. And one of those commitments I made in this life is to find love, to become a mum, and to experience life. For me, it was that path, but then there was also the spirit side as well. So going back to that time when I was a mum and I was sitting with all of this energy and all of these stuff was coming up, I just went back to this moment when I was a little girl, and I just remember it was like, I remember she looked up at the sky one day and they said, life will be better one day and you'll get there. So I always knew that in that moment I felt something. So whenever I felt that with whatever messages or whatever I was guided with, I knew that was an intuition. I just knew that
something greater than you that was there.
Yeah.
Present. Yeah.
And I really trusted that. At the time, I remember just to follow that. And funnily enough, I just jumped on the internet and typed in intuitive healing, I think. And then it just kept coming back to you, Lisa. And I remember looking at your website and I felt the energy behind your website, and there was so much information on there. So that's what caught me the most to connect with you, Lisa. I remember when I first made contact with you, I rang you and I
think you did ring me. I distinctly remember having a conversation where you must have seen the spiritual mentoring as an option on my website, which is usually reserved for people that have done Reiki level 1, then they've done the practitioner training, then they go to the masters, and then they're like, I just want to become a teacher. I want to learn directly one-on-one. And it is the advanced place where people kind of get to. And from memory, you said, I want to do that.
And you were like, no, we don't do that. And I was like, well, why not? And we're going to do that. I remember the reason I really wanted to do that, and I said we're going to do that, is because I was clearly looking for at that time how to understand a clear message from spirit, because I was sitting with so much energy and so much stuff that needed to be shifted. I remember the messages that were coming through were quite distorted because I didn't know it's that knowing without knowing, it's intuition. So, and I just knew I could get that from you. So it was like, so I convinced you.
The hard work. You did. It's, and I think that's exactly what mentorship is about. It's one-on-one. It allows me to open up all of my skills and resources and meet you where you're at and help you too. It kind of fast tracks the process, which is certainly what we experience working together.
Yeah.
And then we did see the value of you going back and doing Reiki as a foundational practice to just give you that connection to the energy work, giving you that place that you can come back to where you find that inner stillness. And then, of course, the intuitive side was just a natural progression, isn't it? Because it's just like, how do we determine truth from, like you said, when we're getting distorted messages? Sometimes when we're in a chaotic experience, we can only meet the level of ourselves that we have grown to. And that inner healing is what helps us to raise our consciousness and to learn more self-love, more self-compassion.
Yeah, moving beyond the trauma is fear. So you're picking up fear-based messages. And
it can be clouded, and the clarity is important. It's an important piece, isn't it? And everything that I've learned from the amazing teachers that I've met is that love is the answer. Yeah. That when we come back and return to love, to me, that is the biggest gift that Reiki gives us. It's not just the practical tools and learning, there's that, but it is the returning home to ourselves, isn't it? And to that, I think, and I remember this, and people can find your Reiki testimonial on YouTube by just searching your name. But I remember you saying that the attunement to Reiki was how you felt you were loved. Can you share a little bit about that feeling and how that then translated to you being more of a loving mother with your kids?
I remember when I first did the Reiki 1 workshop, and I was still sitting with a lot of stuff that I was trying to move through. And I remember when it came around to do the attunement, I'll never forget it actually. It was just one of the most beautiful experiences of my life, where I remember just sitting in a space where I could feel an energy that I've never felt before. And in that space, I was able to feel loved and feel nurtured. It just opened up this connection to the universe, which is the source, and it then helped the body to navigate what it was going through and shift it in a
supportive
Yeah, it really, I don't know, it just,
It's hard to put it into words, isn't it? It's a mystery. Like I quite often say when people are like, there's the practical side, the tools that we develop with Reiki, but then there's this element of spirituality that is sacred. It can't be planned. It's when we allow for space that is brought about usually by vulnerability and compassion, and love comes in response to a need quite often. So, and then I've had that you can't, it's hard to believe, but I'll have groups that will form and people are dealing with the same issues, and then they find this soul friendship group out of the people that have met, and some of them have gone on and still friends now, lifetime friends made in those workshops. And through that shared vulnerability, or just through everyone just wanting to learn this beautiful modality to be able to have better connections, not only in their own life, but also better connections with our own internal guidance system, which is the spirit, the soul, the self, source, whatever. I call it Reiki as well, whatever word. There's so many. So thank you for sharing that, because I know it's had a profound effect in your life, which is amazing, and how you loved your children. There was a time in your life when you were called upon that healing skill of Reiki when your husband had would you call it a near-death experience? Came pretty close to it, didn't he?
Well, we've had a few conversations about it recently, because there has been a lot of post-injury in his body that's been coming up, and we've been moving through those things together and helping him.
Do you mind talking about what actually happened?
Yeah, he had quite a bad motorbike experience. It was a Friday evening. I remember it clear as day. I remember the clothes he was wearing when he left, and the last words I said to him, I was like, "What are you doing wearing them socks? Like, you look ridiculous." Like, I just remember he had these white socks on, and I was like, "Oh my God, don't do anything silly with them white socks on," because that's kind of it just reminded me of that Michael Jackson, you know? I was laughing at him and I was
Black
like,
pants and white
yeah,
socks on.
oh my God.
Looked like a dog walking out of the door.
And and it was only a couple of hours after that. It was early evening, and I got a knock on the back door, and all I got told in that moment was he's on the side of the road and ambulance is on his way. And
Was it police that came to the door?
no, it was actually a friend of his at the time. So it was quite a disturbing message to receive, because my kids were there and they heard it. And the moment I turned around and I saw my younger son at the time, he just said to me, "Is Dad coming home?" And I said, "I don't know." I'm like, "Mate, I don't know. I can't answer that." I said, "But what you need to do," as I said, "you need to go and get a bag. You need to pack some clothes, and we just need to get in the car."
How old was your son at that time?
So this wasn't long after. As I was saying, I was trying to shift through all this stuff and navigate being a mum and all the rest of it. So this was when they were around 5 and 3.
Wow.
So they were so young.
So he was 5 years old and he was...
Yeah.
He
So,
had...
well, this is going back. So his accident was in 2021 anyway. And then, so they were just little babies. And I just remember, I don't even know how, or my eldest son, God bless him, he just went into like mode of like, right. And he just started navigating everyone and organising. So,
wow.
Because I just remember going completely out of body and I was just like, okay.
You'd be in fear and shock, I would imagine.
Yeah. And that's something my body does not like, the feeling of. So again, anyway, we're on our way up to the Royal Perth Hospital and I was ringing him frantically because I was like, hopefully he's got his phone on him, because I just knew the ambulance people, they pack up their stuff and put it in a bag.
And you didn't know what condition he was in at that point?
No.
Okay. But he was alive, you knew that?
Well, not really, because...
I hadn't even told you that.
No, so there was just, he was on the side of the road and the ambulance is on their way. So between that time and getting on the way up there, I'm like, anything could have happened. It's a Friday evening, don't know what number he is in the road to get into emergency because... So we're on our way up there and I've had to make the phone call to his mum and just say he's been in a motorbike accident, don't know the extent. So on the way up there, and then Austin's mum was there to meet me, and I just remember being in the room and I asked them, I was like, where is he? And they said, oh, he still hasn't been like triaged and that yet. So But during that time, I did get a phone call from one of the ambulance drivers, and she let him speak to me, and he was like, I'm okay, blah, blah, blah.
Bet you that.
But I knew he wasn't okay because he just likes to tell a lot of stories that aren't real. And I just knew,
Didn't believe him.
Yeah. And then so then Austin's mum took the kids, and then I stayed up there, and then I finally got back into the ED department, and I didn't recognise him, and it was just chaos in there, and the lady just gave me a cup with water in it and a sponge, and she said, you need to keep him hydrated. And I was like, well, can he have a drink? And she's like, no, you need to sponge his lips. And then I'm thinking,
probably helpful giving you something to do in that
Yeah.
situation, rather than just standing feeling helpless.
And again, I didn't know where he was. And then all I hear is I'd do anything for a frozen Coke to get slapped on my face because he was obviously so thirsty. And I was like, oh my God, I could do so much worse to you right now. So then I went over there, but at that time he was in so much pain. All his clothes were ripped off. He was strapped down to one of those very thin wooden
just a spinal
boards.
block. Yeah, a spinal block.
I mean, he was in a neck brace, and I said to the ladies, I said, what? They said, we don't know. They said he had some internal bleeding. He was pretty cut up. And then by that time, then I started going into this victim mode of, why me? Why is this happening? Started making it about me instead of him. And I just didn't know how to deal with it. And then I just remember, okay.
So close, yeah.
So in that moment, I was like,
it's all right. I've got to stop letting that.
Yeah.
Emotions coming.
So I grabbed the cup and started sponging his lips. And in that moment, I just saw my husband lying there in a place of there was nothing I could do. And he was in so much pain and keeping his lips sponged, and I'm like, anyway, so then gave him a couple of kisses on his lips and stuff, and had a bit of a cry. And then I just, in that connection of just being close to him again and just telling him I loved him and it was going to be okay, then this little whisper of wisdom come through, and it was yourself, Lisa. And it was going back to those Reiki workshop when you shared some of your own personal experiences with your husband. And I just said to myself, or I didn't say to myself, it was like a whisper from you said, what would you do in this moment? And I just remember just stepping away from it all and just tapping into that mystical side of spirit and connecting with the Reiki. And I went, let's see how powerful this actually is. So
it's like you suddenly get through the trauma. I remember this with Hannah's burns and when Gerald had leukemia. It's almost like you get through all that kind of where you need to just be present.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I can do Reiki. It's like it hits you like a memory, isn't it? Or you just suddenly go.
Yeah, and I think when
right.
it's someone you love so much, that's when you go, or you do anything for love, you do anything to do what help. You got. So you step aside, and then I was looking at his body, and then one of his foot was just hanging out off the bed. And I said, what have you done to your foot? And he's like, oh, I've broken my ankle again. And I just went up and I just started doing Reiki on his ankle and his foot, and just going over his body and just, just tapping in and giving him some Reiki. And then he finally had a bed and everything to go to. So my time was finished there. So anyway, I went home and went back the next day. And then I remember seeing him in the trauma ward. He was laying there so he looked so beautiful and so peaceful, maybe because he was quiet for once, I don't know. And then he was all cleaned up, and then I remember saying the doctors were there at the time, and I said, oh, what's the go with his injuries? Have you got any results in that yet? And they said, oh, look, he's completely snapped his collarbone, he's done this, done that, a few fractures in his spine. And I said, what about the foot and ankle? And they go, Yeah, well, on X-rays it came up that it was broken or it was fractured, but that's fine. There's nothing on there now. We've re-X-rayed him or done something because they wanted whatever it was, another MRI, whatever it was. But it come through and they're like, no, his ankle's fine. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So then I just kept that in the back of my mind. But then he did spend 8 days in the trauma ward, but again, the mystical side of spirit pops in again. And I was like, what can I do in this situation that can build a connection for all of us to just feel loved, feel present, and just try and get through the trauma that was coming up. So because there was so much going backwards and forth, I took the kids out of school and then we went and bought some Lego. And I said, we're going to go up there today and we're going to do some Lego with Dad. And took some lunch and everything up there. He didn't have a lot of so he wasn't walking. He couldn't walk and there was no movement in his arms. Like they were getting worse and worse each day. So at that time, that's when I went, okay. So I was like, what can we do? So got the Lego and we went up there and I remember doing the Reiki symbols on there and activating Reiki on the kids and myself and him and just going through and just opening up that space. And then we started building Lego and then the kids' energy had shifted, my energy had shifted, and then it became very playful and exciting and it was, and then I noticed he was starting to get a bit more alert and then he was like, oh, move over here a bit more, kids, and he was actually trying and the more he was trying, the more he could move. I was like, oh my God, this is so fascinating. This is it. This is love. In the presence of love, in the presence of just removing the fear, you tap into this place that.
Have you been feeling called to learn Reiki? Not just to channel powerful healing energy, but also to awaken your intuition in the process. Now it's easier than ever. After 22 years of teaching Reiki in person, I've created a high-quality online training experience that gives you lifetime access to become a certified and accredited Intuitive Reiki healer. Through Intuitive Reiki International, you'll gain the skills to step into a rewarding new career, plus you'll connect with a thriving community of like-minded healers and make a real difference in people's lives. If you feel the calling, don't wait. The time is now to embrace your passion and start your Reiki journey. Visit intuitivereiki.online to get started today. Like the body has a predisposition
the magic.
to wellness.
It's the miracle of life where through that awareness, you're able to observe everything from so many different levels. And then when you tap into that mystical, magical realm, the connection it's like a trajectory of life. Then it's like you could be going down one path, but then you can just slightly make this little change and connect to spirit and the source, be that vessel. And then it's like the trajectory of life shifts. And then next minute you're like, oh, okay. So this is what we want. We want him home. So it's again that connection coming back to love, and it comes back to Reiki, and it's just in that moment I could be a mum, I could be a wife, I could be me. Just saw something shift. And it was from that moment I went, anything in life's possible.
What was the shift? What happened? Was it a belief?
Love, because I just knew that through that desperation of wanting to feel loved and to move through those things that I was trying to move through.
You realised you already were loved.
Yeah, and I just needed spirit to hold space for me to actually go through the Reiki experience. And I never knew anything about Reiki at the time, but I guess that's why intuition led me to Intuitive Reiki with you, Lisa. And it's from that, it's just opened up so many more doorways of existing here, like just to the omnipresence of everything. He's just the foundation of everything. And it's like
Reiki reminds us of love, doesn't it? It brings us back to that space of love. And then when we connect with it, it's like once you've experienced it, it's hard to go through life asleep. Like I feel like before I found Reiki, and tell me if it's similar for you, but it was almost like I was sleepwalking. And Reiki was an awakening where everything looked better. Everything,
It's like an
there's
activation.
hope again. That's an activation. And also I think when we go through these traumatic life experiences, it does humble us. It brings us to our knees, doesn't it? In those painful moments, we are touched by love. Love, I know I've shared it in workshops and in my book about that moment of seeing the vulnerability. My husband just ran a marathon and I was there again with him. We had this most beautiful lunch where he was talking about how hard it was for him to get through that last 10 Ks. It's like 30 Ks, he was rocking it and loving it. As soon as he hit that 30K mark, it just became a struggle and he had to find something within in order to push through that pain and to find, and he sat opposite me, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but he just said, I did it. Like, I found that place within. And I think, Sarah, that's exactly what Reiki has gifted you with. We can't love others until we fully love ourselves. Like, it gives us with that ability to find that compassion for ourselves. And then we have that as a gift we can give to others. We see the world through a bit more of a lens of a lighter lens where we see love in all places, and it shifts our perceptions, it shifts our life. It certainly is a catalyst for going, oh my God, like I want to learn more. That was what happened for me. It was like a flame was lit in my heart and I just knew I want to learn everything I can about this mystery.
Absolutely. And I think the greatest takeaway from Reiki is to be human and to enjoy the human side of things and to be like, of course, everyone wants to feel love. Everyone's, there's such a belief system. You go to school, you go to work, you find love, and then you have a family. And so half of the time we're like, well, I've done all of that, but why don't I feel it?
Why am I still unhappy?
Why am I?
Yeah.
Because I've done everything.
Missing. Yeah. It's more in the materialistic world. We've chased all the external sources of love, but we've never been brought to the internal source of love. And
because we've been disconnected from source. And there's this huge movement that's happening now. And I think if we want to connect, and what they say we've all got access to, well, we do all have access to it, but it's what comes with Reiki that teaches you the values, and it's the principles. Through those teachings, it's like you understand what awareness is. You understand what it's like to be in that present moment, to observe what is happening in that moment, to understand what the connection is with everything outside yourself.
It's palpable, isn't it? Those
human
moments
behavior
of connection.
Yeah. It just gives you an opportunity within yourself to tap in the best version of yourself when you go, I don't want to do anything because I feel like I have to. It's what can I do to help someone, or what is it that would change someone else's life? And it's just that little shift where you can go,
how do I be of service?
Yeah, but it's not giving so much of yourself away. You start learning respect for yourself. You start honoring yourself, and it's honoring yourself not in it's all about me and things like that. It's about honoring from a level of respect and having clarity to say, having clarity within your mind and heart to say no or to say yes, or to keep pushing through those times when it is hard.
To know whether it's, I think a lot of growth and change happens in that space of discomfort, but we've got to work out, I think we need to find ourselves. We need to know who we are to be able to have discernment as to what it is. Like if we just do the right thing, that's what Reiki teaches us. To follow the principles is just for today. It's about mindfulness. It's about connecting in the now moment, being present, bringing our presence to those whom we're meeting and connecting with. If we have that inner awareness of who we are, we have that level of self-acceptance, which is self-love, self-acceptance, then what happens, and this is personally what I've experienced, is that when chaos comes from the outside world, there's a level of resilience there that I think wouldn't have been there without the challenges that kind of brought me to my knees and brought me to that place of surrender where we literally let go. And I've had a couple of profound moments. There's something I want to touch on that you mentioned, which is, firstly, I want to check. I'm sure the listeners want to know how Austin's doing now. So just fast track because we've left them in.
Well, I haven't murdered him yet. And I said to him, when you're up and walking, that's when I'm going to murder you.
How did the accident actually happen as well? Because
So he was just on the highway and he's gone to overtake, and then the car in front of him has just slammed on the brakes. And then obviously when he was overtaking and sped up, then he's hit the back of it. So then
so like a direct
he
collision.
went flying in the air and
Spare us the details.
Yeah.
But so
high speed. It was
that's horrific.
Yeah, and he just remembers just flying through the air. And he said he just remembers coming out of his body. And
that is a near-death experience,
absolutely,
isn't it?
because in that moment when and it's always stood with me, and I ask him now and he goes, I don't remember the accident, but I just remember there was a period of time not long after it, he would always say he just remembers going through the air and just going, okay. And then just it's like his spirit said to him, right, this is what you're going to do. And then he just went with it when he hit the ground. So he didn't resist.
Okay.
There was in that itself, there was
guidance or something greater.
And then when he came back into his body, he said he just did the pain. He was just fortunate. There was a nurse on the highway and she pulled over. Yeah, so you can't make this stuff up. So he had a nurse there with him at the time. So
wow,
yeah,
that been and that's
all. Imagine if I knew. That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. If you couldn't be there, the universe put someone in the spot to help. That's amazing. I've been teaching Reiki for many years now, and there's one thing that I certainly wrestle with myself, and I'm wondering if you've experienced the same thing. We quite often get this thrill from learning Reiki and tapping into, I call it the grace or that spiritual aspect, and it's almost like it can become alluring to kind of spend so much time reading and devouring as much information as you can, and then all of a sudden we get out of balance and we become like almost desperately seeking this pure way of living life. And then it can almost be a challenge with coming back into the physical reality. Like almost for me, it was a not accepting the human aspect. And you mentioned something about your spirituality brought you back around to a full appreciation of being a mum and being human and being in the messy moments. And I'd love to touch upon that because it really is challenging. And when I saw a psychologist for a while, she'd say to me, oh, don't, Lisa, you are a little human. Like we're all, and it was almost this bringing me back to relax, especially when you start teaching. And I know you're on this path of teaching others as well. It becomes like we have to remind ourselves it's okay to be human. It's okay to fuck up and swear and make mistakes. What I have found is that the more vulnerable we are, the more we actually bring others in, because then they're like, oh, well, she can be that amazing, but she's also a hot mess like me. And then we find connection. And
absolutely.
I'd love to know your take on
Well, that's what I saw in you, Lisa, and I saw that in the website. No, not the messy. No. It was when I connected through your website and through intuition, through that chaos and spirit, it led me to the energy that I was looking for, that bridge. So, and that's what I saw in you. And on your website, it was, and I've always said this about you, Lacey, you've got the business side and then you've got the Intuitive Reiki. And I had never seen that before. So to me, I was visualizing it and feeling it. So I was like, this is the real deal. Because there is such a belief system society has on Reiki or spirituality and all of these things where it's you have to look a certain way or you have to do this and that. It has to be all love and light. It has to be
that's called spiritual bypassing, isn't it?
Exactly.
Where we get frustrated because like, oh, just be real. Like,
yeah.
You know, I think it's
so
important.
It was so in that realness, and then when I did the workshops with you, Lisa, I seen all of that and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect because there's no bullshit. There's no nothing. It was different because we can book into these places and then we can it's just Anyway, but in saying that, I really had to truly walk the path that you want to walk with the Reiki. You have to be aware of what your intentions are before the Reiki, because the Reiki is the key. It's the source. So if you're wanting to do Reiki, my intentions were, one, to get truth through the spirituality world. And the number one was to be a mum. So my intentions were to feel loved. Well, I got that.
Yeah.
And then there was quite a journey. It's been 5 years since I did the first one to completing my master's, where I found myself just way too connected to spirit. And then I was I was in burnout.
Not doing the dishes.
We just tapped into a reality that does not really exist in that moment.
Yeah,
So therefore I was just, again, and I was going, then I'd have to say, right, I'm not doing this. I just want to be a mum, and I'd always go back to that. I just want to be a mum. This is what
grounded. Would that be it? Grounded you? Got that?
Yeah.
Kids can ground us, can't they?
Absolutely.
When we spend too much time with our head in the clouds or in our spiritual processes, it's like life will come, chaos.
It can destroy you as well.
Yeah.
It can take away the best parts of you, and then it can also be. It's not right for your kids to be seeing you in that kind of way either, because then they're like, oh, why is she so obsessed with it? But I'm not saying that's what Reiki does. What I'm saying is there is a path that comes with Reiki, and what it teaches you is to be present and to, and if you honor the principles and the values and the teaching and the wisdom, then you put it into, really. Then you put those steps into place and you walk that path, and then it's like you can be. And one thing I'll always say, there's always a difference between a spaghetti bolognese that's just been thrown together in a thing of anger, or just
some food made with love.
But when you make food with love, and then there's something sitting there with your children, and they're like, oh my God, this is the best spaghetti ever. And it's, because I made it with love. And you notice the difference. So when you start doing those little things, that's when you go, oh, this is what it means. So, but
so many different layers.
There's so many different layers, and that's just one. But it's not until you truly walk the path and complete the journey of the 3 stages of the Reiki path, that's when things change. And
the Masters really are coming full circle. I think Reiki 1 is about self. It's about healing yourself. It's about finding out who you are, coming back within. Reiki 2 is then about, I've got this amazing skill. How can I help others while you're still helping and developing your own level of consciousness? We're developing that internal reference point where we're starting to see and think through the eyes of source and love. So that starts to develop. Point. It is a beautiful turning point. And mastery is about, it's always there. It's like we don't step in and out of Reiki. We are Reiki. We become connected back to that whole sense of all that is, and recognizing that we always were it. We just didn't know. That depth was always there. We just had lost connection to it. And I think Reiki returns us back to that place of home. And what is home? Home is safety. Home is security. Home is where we can be ourselves. It's where we're liberated. It's where we don't have to put on the masks that sometimes the world invokes from us, where we play the roles and play the parts. It's almost like Reiki doesn't ask anything of us, but just presence. And it brings us back to the simplicity. And to be in a room, and I know you've experienced this as a Reiki master now, to be able to pass that gift on to someone and watch their awakening, like before your eyes. I remember like a 50-year-old man just humbled by Reiki, and he was just like, I've never felt loved like that before. And he had the whole group of us women all bawling our eyes out because it was just so, and he's like, where have you been in my whole life? And this was a man that gave a lot of love to others. And that kind of story is just one of many. To be witnessing that and know that you play a part in passing that torch from master to student as it's been passed down to me from my master. Whereas before, there's this beautiful lineage of connection and love that's at the core of it: vibration, love, connection, touch. And you talked about a movement earlier, and I just think with the AI, with everything going online, and Reiki can be taught as a hybrid now. It's online and it's in person. It has a combination of both, a touch point with a master because it's important. The attunement's always done with my masters, with me. It's we need to come back to human connection now
Absolutely.
more than ever. There's nothing
Absolutely.
more important. And to me, it's also the spiritual aspect, the intuitive side allows us to bring profound connection and love to not only ourselves but to others. I've got a question for you. What would you say to someone listening right now, Sarah, who feels disconnected from their intuition or stuck in self-doubt or just in that place where they were in that chaotic mind? What would you say to someone listening right now that might be feeling exactly how you felt before?
I think it's safe to say that we all know in a moment of closing your eyes and just shutting everything out, there is a place inside your heart that knows you're worthy. We all know that. We all have that feeling. But when we open our eyes, we're just scared because we see a lot of things outside ourselves that we think,
who am I?
Is stopping us from doing that, whether it's family, whether it's
beliefs,
whether it's our job, whether it's finances, whatever.
So they're scared.
They're
scared. They're feeling confused. They don't know what to do. What's your message to them?
There is someone out there that will hold space for you. And when you're in that place of doubt, fear and loneliness and you're scared, there's a lot of people out there that actually do lie awake at night thinking of people like that don't want you to feel like that. And it's okay to feel like that, but it's also okay to say, I'm worthy, and you get one shot at life. How beautiful will it be? Whether you're 20, whether you're 30, whether you're 80 years old, you might want to just experience something. You experience love, experience a feeling that you know you can. Why wouldn't you want to feel that?
Got nothing to lose, have you? It's just an
You
experience.
And we all want it.
And you know what I love about Reiki is you can still experience it even if you're skeptical. Even if you think it's a load of shit.
You could be a mechanic.
Anyway.
You could be a mechanic. You could be a butcher. You could be a hairdresser. You could be whatever.
Doesn't matter. It crosses ages. It's simple to learn. It's easy to experience. And it's the sacred mystery that is a part of our birthright.
Absolutely.
We don't need to earn it. It's not like the traditional schooling system that is about worthiness and pitting each other off each other. It's just all you need is to have the desire to learn. That's it. You just got to want to learn and it'll find you.
It helps you live life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the ripple effect that comes from it too. It's like when you become attuned and you do Reiki, it's like you are then being that vessel too for your household.
Oh my gosh.
And
even if you do it just for that alone, for your self-healing, for your family and friends.
Then it opens up a doorway for your children to feel safe in a moment of chaos and be like, they step into that because then it's like.
I gave I found Reiki before I met my husband, before I had my children. I've got Reiki babies. I literally Reiki'd them in my womb and now they're 18 and driving. And I remember the nights I laid there in bed, just helping them to get to sleep. And I just have my hand on their back, just giving them Reiki and just holding. It just gives us something. And Sarah and I were talking earlier about the fact that I might have ADHD. Kids certainly think I do, and my husband. And it allows us, this tool, to settle. It just brings us into this instant, grounded peace, isn't it? It just is peace. And we don't have to earn it. You just literally tap into it. But I think the process and the signing up to the workshop, it is the key to unlocking the memory of it, because we've forgotten how to tap into that. It
unlocks whatever it is you're wanting to unlock.
Yeah.
At however that looks.
And it grows with us. That's what I've found.
Absolutely.
The more I've developed, the more spirituality there is to learn. It started with energy and then moved into mediumship and connecting to spirit and now to trans-channeling. So it just it evolves, doesn't it? And then also accepting the human aspect and stop trying to be so goddamn enlightened.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, the minute I stopped try, especially living up to all the amazing things my students were saying about me. It was a little bit humbling because at times I felt like a hot mess, and it's like confronting when people say really nice things about you. You just go, it's just allowing all of it to be this beautiful tapestry of life.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time, Sarah, and whisper a message to your past self before starting this journey, what would it be?
I feel like I did that I'm not saying this is everyone, but just from my own experience, it's like I've always done things backwards. I've always been at the end and then worked my way back down to the beginning.
Do you read the end? Do you read the last chapter of a book? Then go back to see what happens.
I just do things backwards. Through my experience, I've had the ability to see beyond what is happening now. And I just remember, like I said, going back to that little girl and just of knowing that it was going to be okay and life was going to change. So
what would you say to that little girl right now from the perspective you have now?
You just have to trust.
Beautiful.
Believe.
In what? Trust
in yourself.
In
trust in what you feel. Yeah. Don't allow anyone to tell you how to feel and
what to feel.
Yeah, and you aren't your emotions. Feel your emotions, absolutely. Feel them.
But don't get swallowed up by them.
But you aren't your emotions.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Sarah, there is so much more that we can learn from you. You've gone on to study so many different modalities. Can you share some of them with us that kind of as part of your journey is the learning that you've gone through?
If anything I've learnt through the modalities I've done, I truly, hand on my heart when I say this, when you combine those modalities with Reiki, it's a whole different...
Takes it to a new level.
Takes it to a new level. So you can be like, I've done medical intuitive.
Crystal healing.
Crystal light healing. Oh my God, it's like Reiki. It's just the sacred ancient wisdom that comes with it.
It takes everything to a platform of love, and then
it is. It's the heart. It's the middle part to everything. It's the place where we expand from. It's what amplifies everything, and it's the center of everything. When people want to say as above, so below, so within, so without, well, you are the center of the three hearts of creation, which is the cosmos, the human, and earth. So that's where Reiki expands. So it's the universal
life
force energy, which is the key. It's the key to it's the key to healing. It's our life force. And it's part of our birthright to be here. And if you really want to understand as above, so below, as within, so without, it's about walking the human path. And I truly feel it is, if I had it my way, I would have all the nurses and midwives.
Everyone would be learning Reiki. I'd be saying the same thing. We'd be getting it into schools. We'd be getting it into hospitals. But
I really think there is a movement for it because I know at my children's school they do mindfulness, they do yoga, they do wellness, and I know that feeling that I've got that inner knowing. Within the next 5 years, things are going to be changing. And I think
especially with a lot of science is coming on board now. Like we've got Joe Dispenza's just put out an amazing video where he's actually done scientific studies to measure how the mind works with the body. And it's not such a woo-woo kind of concept anymore. The mind, the body, it's all connected. When we tap into our intuition and our spiritual aspect, we can heal. And I think there's a lot of change coming in a really positive way with the movement. And certainly I know that you're a big part of that, Sarah. So thank you. We have got so much that we can talk about. So we'll have to wrap it up here. But I've got a feeling there's going to be another episode with you if you'd like to come back. I'd definitely love to have you.
Oh, I'd love to.
And thank you so much, Sarah, for being your open, beautiful self, sharing your journey with your husband and what that meant to you. I know it's hard. It was hard for you. I could feel the emotion when you were sharing, but I really know that the listeners will have learned something from your experience and how you overcame that, most importantly. And now we've both got our husbands around to annoy us for the ongoing future, which is a gift. And I say that with tongue in cheek, but there's some people that didn't and don't get that ability, and there's something grounded in that love, isn't it? It just returns us back to that gratitude that we have them in our lives and that love's always there and present. Your journey is also really a radiant reminder to connect in with what's important. I heard you talk about your own sacred development, your own awakening to your own discovering how to love if it wasn't something that you learned early on, and not everyone has a loving upbringing, and I'm not sure if you did or didn't, but sometimes we get loved in ways that aren't always a match to the way we need to be loved. So there's love there, but it doesn't come in the way we need or hoped for.
And half of it's we just carry it on from
it's just trauma passed down.
And it's not even ours, it's not even theirs, and it's just we're all doing the best we can in that moment in time, and love may look different to somebody else. But if anything, like I've really coming back to that mum role, I've been spending since I've had my third child is really connecting with my mum and just going back to that place of unconditional love again. And it's really beautiful. So you can repair and you can overcome and you can step into a new future. And I think that's really exciting, and people need to be excited for that too.
Thank you, Sarah. It's been amazing sharing. And I know there's probably a lot of mums out there that would relate to your story. And if you want to learn more about Sarah, she's available for sessions. You can look her up on a website. We'll put all the details down in the show notes, but it's innatehealing.com.au. Until next time, follow the light within, trust that you're exactly where you're meant to be. And I look forward to connecting with you again. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. Don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you follow us as well, because that way we can keep delivering this content for you for free. So thanks again, Sarah.
Thanks.
See you next time.
Bye.